Welcome to Decades of Horror, the 1980s.
You see, my dear, immortality exacts a handsome price, but for those who must claim it, and those who must pave the way.
This is episode 212, recorded July 27th, 2022.
Gruesome Magazine.
Paving the way doesn't seem like exactly the right choice of words, but okay. We'll go with that. I am your host.
You didn't see the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
In Tom Savini's like 250-word monologue towards the end. I am your host, Jeff Mohr, and this podcast is about horror films released between 1980 and 1989. Each podcast, my co-hosts Bill Mulligan, Crystal Cleveland, and Chad Hunt, and I will tackle another classic or not so classic film of this radical, gory, influential, and gruesome decade. On this podcast, we start by giving some basic details of the film, work into our first impressions, and then go on from there about whatever we feel like talking about that interests us, which we hope will interest you. So it's time to introduce our co-host. And unfortunately, Crystal Cleveland, the Living Dead girl, is not with us tonight. She is a little under the weather. So Crystal,
miss
take
you.
Care. Absolutely miss you. So, but I think she watched the movie, so she didn't get out of that.
Oh, that's why she's sick. That's why she's feeling under the weather.
Also joining us is Chad Hunt, comic book artist and co-host of Decades of Horror, the Classic Era, and Decades of Horror, the 1970s. We got it covered through 1989, right?
Yeah.
How you doing, Chad?
I am tired, but I'm here, and I'm ready to just do some ripping of my own, I guess you'd say.
Some ripping. Yeah, some ripping. Also with us.
There's some
Bill
witty
Mulligan,
dialogue for you.
Writer, director, special effects guru, and co-host of Decades of Horror, the 1970s. Bill, what's shaking?
Doing fine. School will be starting before we know it. And who picked this film? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Well,
all right.
Yeah.
Suffer.
We'll find out. I think I know why you picked it, but let's get into our topic for this episode. And, of course, spoilers. We give spoilers.
Here's a spoiler. It stinks.
The Ripper, 1985, direct-to-video, directed by Christopher Lewis, written by Bill Groves. Cast includes Tom Schreier, Mona Van Pernis, Wade Tower, Andrea Adams, and Tom Savini. Special makeup effects by David Powell and Robert Brewer. Filmed in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with there's a few scenes that are in a university. Those take place at the University of Oklahoma in Norman. Release date is November 1985, and the budget is estimated at $75,000. The synopsis: an antique ring turns a college professor into a homicidal maniac when he puts it on. The ring originally belonged to Jack the Ripper, and the Ripper spirit possesses whoever wears it. And there's Mr. Savini, his own self, with a sinister-looking dagger threatening a young lady. What were you saying, Chad?
I just said he sure does.
He sure done. All right. We have a couple of taglines here.
That's what you think.
Chad, I'm going to get you a theme song here.
Yeah, we need a theme song.
I think I have time to do that this week.
Okay. That would be awesome. Hopefully it's very loud so it'll play over me saying the taglines. And okay, anyway. Your taglines for the 1985 film, The Ripper, are as follows. And be wary. There's so many of them. These were tough to choose from. From out of a dream, he returns to stalk the living. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors. Yeah. Tagline number 2, the legend lives on. The Legend of Boggy Creek.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
that's it.
That's all. Well, since you're in the hot box, Chad, right now, let's go ahead. Center square on the Gruesome Magazine Squares game.
Don't feel like a hot box.
Yeah. So this is Chad's pick. What were your first impressions? And we need to know.
Okay. This is one I passed up on the VHS rental shelves many, many times. Even though it had Tom Savini in it, who's my absolute favorite makeup artist of all time. Nicest guy in the world to meet at conventions and stuff. We even got a chance to interview him here at Gruesome Magazine a while back. And just he's just one of my favorite makeup guys. And just the fact that he's a nice guy too has made it all. They say don't meet your heroes, but I did, and everything was a-okay. So I saw that it came up on Tubi, having never seen it before, and decided to pick it for this watch. And boy, I have never ever seen such a long, drawn out movie where whole scenes and had no use and were drug out for no reason. My first impression is I was very, very, very disappointed in it, despite the fact that I love Tom Savini. That's why I picked it this time. Thinking Tom Savini would never be in a crappy movie. He would never do that. Yeah. Well, it happened.
Do that.
It happened. And I feel bad for Tom Savini.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could talk a little bit about that later. So, Bill, had you seen this before?
No. I also love Tom Savini, and I don't really feel bad for him because he got paid 20% of this film's budget for one day of work. And you listen, if someone offered me $15,000 for anything that wasn't porn or like a snuff film, I'd say yes too, because that's a significant chunk of change, and a
I'd
lot
also
more
say yes to those other two, though.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's also a lot more than I make in a day. So, and it's not going to be very good. Oh, boy, this movie. I mean, I've seen movies with padding, but this is like the padding is padded. The long dialogue scenes that go absolutely nowhere, that are about as exciting as someone filming myself and my wife. No, actually, that's not true. Our dialogue is way better than this stuff. It's just nothing's happening. They're talking about nothing. It's just talk, and it doesn't feel scripted. It feels like they just said, we need 3 more minutes. Talk for 3 minutes. What are we going to talk about? Just talk about anything. And so they did. They talk about sandwiches, and they keep going over the same stuff over and over again, and it's dull. Now, let me throw a couple bones to this awful film. It's kind of got that meta quality that Scream did so well, where the characters love horror movies and they refer to horror movies, but they do so in a clumsy way. Like, look at me, I know all the Vincent Price movies. Yeah. I'm going to watch Conquer a Worm tonight. Oh, look, we're playing a board game that asks a question about Manual 2. Okay, that never happens, ever. It's very clumsily done. But okay, give it credit. This would later become a big thing. And the gore, which is not done by Tom Savini, but the gore is pretty good. The throat slits are well done, pulling out the entrails. I mean, it's well done, low budget gore. But boy, is there a lot of crap in between. And it just goes nowhere. My wife was cracking up watching it. Just how, sometimes the actors actually didn't seem that bad to me because the dialogue they had was terrible.
Yeah.
So they were doing the best they could, and occasionally were actually okay. But there's this movie, and Tom's in it for you timed it, didn't you, Jeff? What was it?
Yeah. 5.5 minutes.
Yeah. So
and he talks almost constantly during that. He has like a 5-minute monologue almost.
So I mean, okay, look, he's paid $3,000 a minute. Again, I don't feel bad for him. I know he's embarrassed by this film. He's got nothing to be embarrassed about. His contact lens looks silly, but he had nothing to do with anything in this except playing this character. Is it a good performance of Jack the Ripper? It's not, but a genius couldn't make that dialogue work. So he's completely blameless, and I hope he spent the money on something fun. This is not a Tom Savini film, so he gets no blame whatsoever. Mm. It's a stinker. I'll say, of the bad movies we've watched, though, this one was a little more compelling than some of them because I was just watching this and I just wasn't sure why the choices they made were so interesting and where it's going. Oh, there's a scene where the guy goes back to the pawn shop, the antique store, and to buy this ring. But another woman has already said she wants it. And the owner won't sell it to him unless the other one decides not to. So you're like, well, this is going to be a big conflict scene here. Is she going to buy it? And then he's going to kill her and take. No, she just basically calls up and says, no, it's okay. You can sell it to him. The end. End of conflict.
We got to see that play out in real time.
In real time. Like you were there in the antique store when we waited for this phone call to happen. Wow. It ate up another 3 minutes or 5 minutes. It seemed like 20 minutes, but it was probably only about 4 or 5 endless long minutes.
So I'm with you guys completely. I kept waiting we see a little bit of the Ripper at the beginning, but I'm going, well, if that was Tom Savini, they would have showed his face, but they make sure he's shrouded in fog and even has maybe a mask on. I couldn't really tell, but so I would describe, I thought the script was extremely mundane and had some really stupid jokes, like the professor telling the one student who starts off by saying, this might be a stupid question. Oh, in this class, there are no stupid questions. And then she asks her question, and then he starts laughing and tells her how stupid it is, and then thinks it's a real funny joke. Even though she's obviously mortified until he fesses up. I agree. I thought the effects were okay. There was a couple spots where it was pretty, my brain's gone. The appliance kind of bulged or something, But there was some that were really good. The throat slit and the tummy slip was actually pretty good, I thought.
I thought it was.
And then we get a guy who's sort of the class clown, who does a blues impression, draws a picture on the chalkboard and calls him Jack the Rapper, which I don't know.
No.
Can you tell me, did that character die in the movie? He didn't, did he?
No.
He did in real life.
As soon as, as will we all. But, I'm watching this scene where he's making fun of everything. And I said to my wife, well, this guy does not survive this movie. And no, I was wrong. He did survive the movie because, like so much else in this movie, he had no reason to be in it in the first place. The woman who asks the question that gets made fun of, she gets a close up. They see, I'm thinking, well, they're setting this up for something. Nope, we don't see her again.
There are no. I'm trying to think. The only thing you see that makes a difference later is the ring. Otherwise, everything else is unnecessary. I suppose they're trying to build character, but it doesn't work now. one thing. Now, you guys, I hope I'm not wrong about this, but when he was supposedly watching the Conqueror Worm on TV, that wasn't the Conqueror Worm.
No, it was not.
No, it was.
I mean, they were
It was
talking
some
about
random
some
guys
giant
talking about a
worm creature.
And, yeah.
And I'm like going, there's no worm in the Conqueror Worm. It's
Which
the witch
I'm thinking
finder
that was a joke. And if that were a joke, if that was a joke, it was one of the better ones. It's not good, but it's one of the better ones. It's better than the joke about 5-pound balls. That's for damn sure.
Right.
Oh
18 pound.
18-pound balls. Yeah.
But not that matters. Also, yeah, we get that whole thing. That's a whole nother thing. Like, what is the point of that? So I can't wait to watch the Wax Museum tonight. Oh, that was on last night. What? You mean I missed it? I was going to tape it. No, tonight is the Conqueror Worm. Oh, I thought tonight was this. No, that's tomorrow night.
Stunning dialogue.
Yesterday was this movie. This, like, none of it, you know. And then not only do we have that whole conversation, then the student calls him up twice to make sure he's watching it and doesn't forget. And then when it's over, to see what he thought about it. Anyway, it's just taking up time, and it really doesn't. I don't know. I suppose there was a point there, but the script was just really bad. Now, I thought I liked the idea. I mean, the idea was okay.
Yeah.
You know, the haunted ring that there was some occult built into this, or occultic, as the expert calls it.
Occultic.
Anyway,
More like
I'm rambling too much here. I'm like the script. I'm just rambling for no reason.
No, at least you get to the point on occasion. I mean, this
on occasion.
He said on occasion.
Yeah, I'm glad I
qualified it.
That made that statement accurate. Yeah. So we've got some stuff here, Bull, and it's you know, this is for video release. I don't think the original filming was very sharp and focused.
No, so tell me, was this shot on video, or was it just so badly shot that it almost looked like it was shot on video?
It was straight
some parts
video.
Looked like video.
Yeah,
tape. It was shot on videotape. And then there were other parts that looked like they were shot on through a piece of cheesecloth. You know,
right.
It was terrible. But I got a feeling that it was videotape in a lot of scenes.
Except that it's so, I remember some of the first shot on video films that came out, and they looked horrifying, even worse than this. So I don't know. This is either they shot on video and did a reasonably good job, or they shot on film and did such a bad job. I'm not sure if it was shot on film. So,
well, or it's, you know, it went direct to video.
Maybe it's a hybrid
masters or something. I don't know.
That could be. Maybe they just transferred it to videotape.
Because there's no Blu-ray. There's no any updated
DVD or anything
thing like that. There is a DVD, but I'll bet it looks pretty much like what we saw.
Yeah.
Anyway, so here's a couple of posters. In fact, that's the DVD cover.
Okay.
I just want to point out those contacts were a terrible choice.
Well, those contacts, actually, I think those are artfully placed in this one.
Oh yeah, and they look a little.
That's not
better.
really a picture. That's a yeah.
Yeah, they look better in this picture. In real life, they looked a little cross-eyed, and it didn't work. Tom Savini with his regular eyes is scarier than Tom Savini with dime store contacts.
So the image on the top was the apparently the key art.
Yeah,
and then they added Tom to the DVD cover, and this is the straight up poster. Although if it went direct to video, I don't know what they needed the poster for, but maybe for video stores or something. It's okay.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I can see where Tom's upset, but you know, you got your name right there, front and center. Clearly, this was the biggest enticement to get people to buy it. Then it's something of a bait and switch.
And I don't think, aside from some of the earlier zombie stuff, I don't think Tom had that many roles at that point, had he?
I'd have to look.
Was Knight Rider out
Knight
by
Rider.
then?
Knight
I
Rider.
think so. By 85, sure.
Dawn and all, and
Yeah. Dawn was out.
And he's not a bad actor. He's actually a pretty good actor.
he was the best.
Role.
I thought he was the best actor in the whole production.
Oh, that's faint praise.
Well, it is, but at least when he was on there doing his little spiel, I was more
listening,
concerned with what was going on screen than I was.
Well, let's take a look at the cast. So, top picture on the left is Tom Schreier, who plays Professor Harwell, who dons the ring.
I thought it was Miami Vice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the next fellow is Steve, is one of his students, played by Wade Tower. And the guy in the middle is
inexplicable guy who should die but doesn't.
Brian.
Class clown.
And I don't know why I'm not seeing. Oh, there he is. Jeffrey R. Fontana.
And there's the ring that starts the whole thing. This big, gaudy, ugly-looking costume jewelry ring. You know?
And they find an exact picture of it in a book on the Ripper.
So we have no idea. We have no idea who Jack the Ripper was, but we do know what his ring looked like.
Right.
And that he was left-handed. They don't know who he was, but they know he was left-handed.
And that the professor became left-handed after he put the ring on. Right? Now we don't have a picture here, but or maybe we do later in the Savini ones, but Schreier's girlfriend is played by Mona Van Pernis, who's Carol, and she's a dancer. And I've been waiting for 2 days to ask Chad this question. Did he fast forward through the dance routine in the song?
Oh, I fast forwarded through many 1980s workout videos. So this was a no-brainer. Yeah, I knew what was going to happen.
So
that whole scene just screams 80s.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
That and the hair.
Steve, the college student, his girlfriend is named Cindy and is played by Andrea Adams. And actually, I kind of liked her. I thought she was really natural. I felt like she did a decent job.
I know I did. I
came off
agree.
Really natural.
I was sorry that, she comes to a bad end, which in a stupid scene where he's talking to her, he turns his head for 0.3 seconds, turns around, she's missing. And in that time, she's been grabbed, dragged away, apparently not screaming at all, murdered, and disemboweled. Impossible. It just, no. Suspension of disbelief can only take you so far. But yeah, she was actually kind of sweet. Should have been in a better movie. Had she done anything else? I didn't get a chance to actually cruise through IMDb.
She had a few credits, but nothing I recognized. But she went on, like in the 2000s, she did a bunch of work as a publicist.
Oh, okay. So she stayed in the business just behind the scenes. Smart move. Keeps you out of movies like this.
Okay. Well, so Mr. Savini with the
twirling his mustache, literally there.
Yes, literally. And there's Mona Van Pernis with his hand around her throat. In I don't know where that was. Was that a parking garage?
Was it a warehouse?
Warehouse.
Something like that.
That may actually be a still.
Yeah, it probably is. Because it's in focus. That's how we can tell. It's in focus and well lit.
Yes.
That's a clue. It wasn't in this movie. I love it. I love this. I love this scene where, they're screaming at the cops, shoot him, shoot him, shoot him. The cops do nothing. And then when they say, wait, it's the wrong guy, don't shoot. Suddenly they open up and hit him about 200 times.
Now, actually, I thought the chopping his fingers off was kind of a slick deal. That was well done.
That was okay.
Although the squirting blood was a little.
Can you imagine being the effects guy on this movie, and you've got Tom Savini there, and you've got to pull off a fingerless hand,
right? And he's
one of the masters of it.
He's looking at you with the most judgmental looks, and you just know. Is this how it would look, Mr. Savini? He's like, no, actually, when you cut off a finger, it does not squirt out like a fountain. like you dropped a Mentos in a Diet Coke bottle. No, that's not how it looks. But you keep on trying there, Scooter. Okay. Yeah.
So apparently there's a commentary track on the DVD. I don't know who does it. Well, I thought I read that, and I'm trying to find that right now. Well, the director does a commentary track. Savini was paid $15,000. Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, and Savini complained to him that his body double in the opening scenes didn't fit his shape, which is true. But I thought I read that the two guys that did the special effects on this were the ones that suggested Savini for the role of Jack the Ripper, and they booked him like just days before filming started.
Well, it was a good idea. It was a smart move because it's literally the only reason anyone knows about this movie.
Yeah,
I know. I read that now.
Marketing, his name's out front of it. So
I wonder if they didn't.
I read some about that. One of the guys knew Savini, and one of the effects guys knew him, and they offered him the role that way. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, he didn't have his school yet back then, right?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Anyway, 85. So, and then I can't wait to see what this is, as Bill labels it, spellbinding suspense. The dance scene.
Yeah.
The scene in the antique store where we spend a whole bunch of time talking about the brass headboard.
And the woman who asks a dumb question.
Yes.
Who that whole sequence there with her screams to me that she invested in this movie and they gave her a role. It's pointless, but she can point and say, I was in a movie and I've got pretty much the whole shot to myself here. Except for comedy relief guy peeking over my shoulder. And this movie.
Well, it's kind of weird. I thought sure that I recognized Tom Schreier, but he hasn't done anything else, so I must have dreamed it. He did a movie called Dark Before Dawn. That's his only other credit in IMDb, anyway.
Never heard of it.
Seemed familiar to me. Well, I don't know. I'm not. It's too bad, because it's not suspenseful. It's not, even when Savini's in it, it's like they use that as how do we pad this scene? So rather than, once he kills her, he's immortal and never has to do it again. Apparently, as this whole monologue that he's doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he spends 5 minutes screwing around talking about it until the student shows up and ruins everything, and then all the cops show up. So
in the worst possible, let her go.
Yeah,
let her go. Listen, I'm with you, Jeff. They had a great idea here, I think, with a ring that can possess someone and make them. It was a great idea. They just didn't have the money for a good script or good acting. It could have been a better movie than it is.
But you know what? Listen,
easily.
We're going way too easy on these people. Listen to what we're saying. They didn't have the money for a good script. A good script costs you nothing. Take those long, boring scenes and make them not boring. Give them a reason to exist. The only reason I could excuse something like this is if this was like a 48-hour film festival or something where you're on a deadline and you had no choice but to go with something.
Yeah.
Well, this is the writer's only writing credit.
Wonder why.
Look, I'm not going to crap on the guy. I don't know. Maybe he wrote a great script and they lost it.
He gave it a shot, but even so, even with the script, they didn't really know how to shoot suspense because that final scene is not suspenseful.
No.
And the other kills aren't suspenseful. They try to make that opening scene of back in Whitechapel in 1888 be suspenseful, but it's not.
It wasn't. You knew what was going to happen.
And it went on forever. It was padded as well. And why did that woman get out there? what why would she
Right.
accept to be killed?
Why would she refuse help or
Yeah.
it was just an excuse to get her killed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
That's from the
with a better script, this could have been a way better movie.
She Deserved It
yeah.
school of serial killers, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there we are. I wish we could talk more about this, but I don't know
There's
what else
nothing
to
to
say.
say.
There's nothing to say really.
It's really,
Yeah. We're under the gun here. We're down one person, and we have a film that you just can't say much about other than just it's not good.
I always try to find something positive about anything we talk about, but this one's hard to find anything. I mean, there's a few things, but not worth talking about.
yeah. That
for
that
extended
final
periods
scene,
of time.
Savini jumps out of nowhere and grabs her, and then does a couple lines of his speech, and then sort of after he twirls his mustache, then kind of twirls around her and comes at her from the other side. He does all these little like pirouettes, and then does another line, a couple lines of dialogue. It's just odd,
And was he supposed to be the spirit of? He didn't transform into Tom Savini, but they were just kind of trying to show that was the spirit possessing the professor.
I thought he actually transformed into him somehow through some magical.
Okay, I didn't know if she was actually seeing the spirit of Jack the Ripper.
Because she seemed surprised when the guy turned back into his normal face.
Yeah.
Well, and Savini knows how to swirl a cape,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But when after those fingers are cut off and the college professor runs out exposed, at that point, I think, I don't know what was going on, but he had like a shirt like 3 sizes too big on, maybe making room for the squibs or something. I don't know.
Which that was where the effects also kind of let down, because at that point the blood suddenly looked more pale pink.
Yeah.
Than the good stuff.
Yeah, we should probably stop, because all we're doing is finding more negative stuff.
That's what's easy about reviewing.
Yeah. It's like we're
I try to find
horse here.
So he was. I will say that Savini, with gusto, played that role. He was.
He was the best part about the whole movie. He was the best part of the whole movie.
He looked like he was having fun. And you know what? If someone paid me $15,000 to act in a warehouse for one day, and then I get to fly home with my money, I'd be having fun too.
Yeah.
You'd see, boy, it sure looked like Bill enjoyed that scene. Yes, I did, because I was thinking about what I was going to buy the next day.
Oh, well. Okay. Well,
I sure hope we have some viewer commentary.
Yeah,
letters from
anybody out there that's thinking about it. I would strongly suggest.
Yeah, think again.
Yeah,
because now, if you watch this as a little kid, you might think some of the throat cut and the bellies were memorable.
Sure.
That was actually kind of good and got my hopes up for a minute. But okay, well, we do have a bunch of trivia. Some trivia. So let's go with I thought there was one in here. What did I do with that? Yeah.
I like where Tom Savini at a Fangoria Weekend of Horrors convention got on his knees to beg forgiveness from horror fans for being in this movie. That's funny.
Maybe for
I remember reading about that.
We have a comment from on the Mutilator already, which just went live on Monday. And since let's go with Chad on that. This is from Kevin Coleman.
Okay. Episode 211, The Mutilator. Kevin Coleman says, "Hey folks, thanks for the awesome series of podcasts. All of DOH episodes have got me through many hours at the GM plant. That's what we're here for, man.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it.
That being said, I like this film. I know that it is just through its sentiment, however, this is one of many I watched with a family friend. The friend has long since passed, but I will always have the memories of the Mutilator. and The Being. Yeah, there's one we gotta look at too. Those were two bad films that stayed with me from those times. Much respect, my friends. Until next time. Well, thank you, Kevin, very much. We appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. Woo, I was afraid he was going to say best podcast ever. And a related note, Bill wasn't there.
Yeah, no.
We said
all
that.
Of
we did.
All
we
of
said
the
that
OH episodes
during the show.
Me through. Yeah. Well, and I went looking for The Being, and I could not find a streaming source.
Too bad. It's terrible.
On any of the services.
It was on Shudder for a while, but then it was.
Was it? Wow. Because
I'd watch it over this thing again.
All I could find was a trailer, even on like YouTube, and so. All righty, Bill. Episode 203, Howling 2. Your sister is a werewolf, from Scott Wells.
Scott Wells says, yes, I've started listening to the Decades of Horror of the 80s now, and for some reason, I decided to start with this one. I love almost every werewolf film out there. Almost. Crystal, I'm with you on this one. I am entertained by this film. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a good film, but it is entertaining in its own way. However, I have a far more controversial opinion on another film that was mentioned that is likely to turn you all against me. Most times when I say it, I am told to turn in my card as a horror fan. So it will remain unspoken for now. Wow, what a tease. At any rate, this was a fun podcast to listen to, and it helped me through a rough work day.
I'll tell you what, Scott, you're out of the club just for saying that this was a good movie.
Yeah.
I'll bet.
I'll bet he wanted to say that he liked this one better than the original Howling.
I was going to say, I think he didn't like Howling, or maybe he didn't like American Werewolf in London. I don't know.
Oh, well.
Can't put words in his mouth, making assumptions.
That's true.
He didn't mean it, Scott.
We need more dirt, Scott. We need more dirt on this.
See, Scott, we're imagining probably worse things than what you actually think. That's what happens.
I know I am anyway.
Yeah. You know what's a really good film? The Ripper.
Yes. So episode 200, Night of the Comet. Also, this is like the Scott. He found 80s, and so he commented on several of the movies that he watched. Night of the Comet, episode 200, which was voted on by our listeners and viewers. Scott says, this film slipped by me. I remember that I've seen it, but it never left a deep impression on me, even with my fear of zombies. However, in the episode, Bill Mulligan half recalled a made-for-TV movie from the 1970s about a solar event which turned people to dust. This was the 1974 film Where Have All the People Gone? With Peter Graves and Kathleen Quinlan, directed by the great John Llewellyn-Moxie, who was better known for having directed The Night Stalker a few years before. Well, I have to check it out. For some reason, I get that one mixed up all the time with 1977's The Day of the Animals, which also freaked me out when I was a child. Well, now
I think that was also a solar event. Yeah.
All right.
William Girdler in there.
Yeah, what did I say? Griedler? I always do that. Girdler. William Girdler. Life Force. I think, are we around to, where are we around to here? Bill?
Yes.
You read the first one.
Okay, yeah. Life Force. Scott Wells again. During my college years, there were a few films that got played a lot in my dorm. Evil Dead, Reanimator, Lost Boys, Videodrome, and Life Force. I have a real fondness for this film and covered it
I wonder why.
on my own blog. Yeah. Oh, he's got a blog. Good. Jeff mentioned at the very end of the episode about the parallels to Dracula. Not only is the alien ship much like the Demeter, you also have the Dracula analog in the girl. And just like Dracula had his bride, she has her male consorts as well. Both ships herald the arrival of a plague in the location they arrive. Not only does the apocalyptic finale of Life Force call to mind Quatermass in the Pit, it also reminds me of Nosferatu the Vampire. This guy's deep. I like him. There is a psychic connection between Dracula and Mina, just as there is between the girl and Carlson. Both have significant portions set in asylums, and Patrick Stewart plays the equivalent of Dr. Seward from Dracula. Feluda is Van Helsing, and Colonel Kane is sort of the Quincy Morris character, making that sword of leaded iron the equivalent of Quincy's Bowie knife. I'm not sure how much of this was in Wilson's original novel, but I keep meaning to seek it out and read it. Thanks for covering this one great episode. That's some pretty sharp analysis there. Stuff I had not considered, but it sounds on point to me. Good call, man.
Scott's the man.
So just to give him some credit again, his blog is Saturday Mad Theater. It's at saturdaymadtheater.blogspot.com. So check it out. And when he told us about it, he said it was erratically published. So totally.
Aren't we all?
Yeah,
we're all kind of erratic here. All right, now to sort of a general suggestion for the 80s from Mikey Z. Chad?
Mikey Z say some suggestions for the 80s. The Final Conflict from 1980, the last good Omen film that had great potential. Outland, 1981, High Noon in Outer Space. The Toxic Avenger from 1984, Kaufman Trauma Classic. Zombie Nightmare with John Michael Thor in a Canadian horror with Adam West. Oh God, what a horrible film! So was John Michael Thor was a rotten guitar player too.
Hey,
it was terrible. It was terrible.
He could blow up a water bottle until it exploded, huh?
Yeah.
Can Eric Clapton do that?
He blew up a lot of other stuff here recently. But anyway, Frankenstein Island, balloon ride with a great B actor.
No.
With great B actors, Carradine, Clark, and Brody.
Terrible movie.
Poltergeist 2 and 3. How far you've fallen from the 1982 original, little girl.
Yeah.
He didn't say that.
Okay, Mike.
Yeah. Put down the bong. Frankenstein Island. Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your dang mind, sir?
Yeah. That's not going to happen. I refuse to do that episode if we do Frankenstein Island.
And Zombie Nightmare now.
And Zombie Nightmare too.
Rock and Roll Nightmare also with John McHale Thor.
Yeah.
It's a terrible movie.
I do Outland.
Sure.
I mean, we get some Sean Connery.
And Toxic Avenger we got to do at some point, sure.
Yeah. Final Conflict too.
All right.
It's the Final Conflict.
As usual, giving Mike a hard time. But here he comes again on episode 175, The Church. Forget the tomfoolery, the rhubarbs, brouhahas, and willy-nilliness. What you have here is an episode filled with horseplay, shenanigans, and hijinks.
Wow.
I might have to go back and listen to that. That sounds...
Is Mikey Z like 78 years old? Because this is old man talk here.
Saw this on a mom-pop VHS video store rental in the early 90s and recently caught this again after re-listening to the podcast. I must say I remembered very little about this. Like Jeff, the opening always reminded me of the killer rabbit scene from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, but there were no coconuts nor swallows to be found. It then went on for about 10 minutes of kick the head around the massacred village. Not your average Italian 80s horror. Well, I don't know. It has an interesting beginning and then moves to modern time where a Dr. Pretorius-looking priest makes his appearance. The story moves along with pretty logical events happening, not usual for Italian horror this period. That is until the centuries-old hands start choking stupid boy Evan after being dug up, and then the weird stuff happens. That wasn't weird, but then the weird stuff happens. We're off to the Italian races from that point on, from ripping out your own heart to perving on an early teen with a sharp dagger, a photo shoot gone wrong, 2 more violent things happening. The weirdness just keeps piling on. Asia Argento is compelling as the virginal Lottie, who knows of events that happened centuries ago. The last shot of her looking into the hole and smirking is a nice way to end the film. Perhaps, as Bill pointed out, she's internally saying, "Thank God I don't look like my dad."
Caught a good break there.
Grue-Crew does it again. As usual, great advice. Never tell the police a monster is trying to kill you. Also, if an Italian film has a number in the title, it probably has nothing to do with anything with the preceding title in the series. Yeah.
Especially if that number is preceded by the word demons. Yeah.
So this next one I want to give to Chad. I had to look this up because I had no idea what he was talking about. 195 Neon Maniacs from Dean Rivet or Rivet.
Yeah. This is the prelude. I think it's the prelude to Shout at the Devil from Motley Crue. You want me to read it?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yep.
I want you to sing it.
Oh, no, I can't do that. I don't know if we'll get in trouble trademark-wise repeating these. Ashes of dreams and blood-stained streets. It has been written, those who have the youth have the future. Come now, children of the beast, be strong and shout at the devil.
Smiley face, smiley face, smiley face. Oh, that's just what he put in there. Never mind.
Wink face with tongue out. Wink.
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
not sure what that means.
I don't know my
Is
emojis.
Or is that a wink? Anyway, I don't know. So, it wasn't that long ago, but Neon Maniacs, they were crazy.
Yeah. Well, they were maniacs. Of course they're crazy.
Is that somebody you know, Chad?
No.
Okay.
Dean Rivet.
All right.
Did we mention Motley Crue in the show?
Somehow? I don't know. Maybe.
We say a lot of
you
things.
Did. I wouldn't have mentioned Motley Crue, but
no,
you guys might have.
I don't know. It's still cool that he sent that in.
Yeah.
It is.
It's gotten us talking. Yeah.
Thanks,
so,
Dean.
And Bill.
Yeah.
We've got one on Clash of the Titans from Nick Gadman,
Woo-hoo!
Our buddy in England.
Yeah. All right. From Nick Gadman. I have nothing but goodwill for this movie. I think as a kid, I always saw the hammy acting, the inconsistent blue screen, and the blatant R2-D2 ripoff, but it didn't matter. I grew up with Harryhausen movies on TV as a kid, and when you saw these films at the time, at that age and in context, there was nothing but awe at the stop-motion effects. Clash of the Titans was a huge favorite of mine, being a cutting-edge visionary spectacle, so its flaws were non-existent to my 7 or 8-year-old self watching this on TV in '83. In those eyes, it will always be a failed cult classic like Krull, so to this day, I'll defend everything. I understand why you guys found the first half boring, but funnily enough, as a kid, I didn't. Maybe we were just starved for content back then, wink, wink. I found the drama of the so-called gods gripping, if petty, petulant, and unbefitting of gods when you compare it to any semi-intelligently written narrative. But then, isn't the Bible full of petty, vengeful acts of a tempestuous, childish God? So it all felt worth it to me once the iconic action commenced. I'm not saying your appraisal wasn't fair, it absolutely was, but when I saw this back in the day, it literally blew my tiny mind. And this particular outing holds a special place in my heart, even if just for those member berries. But they're good member berries, and it's all about Medusa. Much love, as always, Nick. Thank you, Nick. Listen, I don't know if I came across as not loving this film, I'm sorry, because I love everything Harryhausen did. Harryhausen's worst film is better than most people's best film, and he's a dream maker. People like you. I mean, I was older when I watched it, but this is the kind of movie that creates a love for film, a love for filmmaking, and a desire. I imagine most filmmakers, like the Spielbergs and the Lucases, they grew up on this stuff. These are the kind of movies that make you want to become a filmmaker. And Harryhausen, which will go down in history as just one of the most influential filmmakers of all time, beyond the actual films, just in how many people he inspired to become filmmakers. So I appreciate the love you have for this film. And
it's cool to be able to like your movie for whatever reason you want to like it. I think that's what it's all about. Then when I'm talking to you, Nick, or I talk to Bill or anybody else in here, it's those ideas come together, and that's what makes the conversation interesting. And being a fan of horror movies interesting is everybody, can talk about it, and just it makes it fun. So some people say that you just like it because of member berries and nostalgia. Well, that's just, to me, that's just as much of a reason to love something as anything. So
Yeah, I'm not. One of my favorite movies is The Tingler, and I'm not going to defend the quality of the movie, but there are scenes in there that scared the crap out of me when I was a kid.
Right.
So yeah, I hope, what I would say is, for me, the first half was boring until we got the Ray Harryhausen stuff, and then it was awesome. I also wish I had seen it. We got a lot of comments from people who saw this as a young kid, and it was magical to them. And I wished I had seen that, but I didn't. I didn't see it until I was a crotchety old coot. So, there it is. Appreciate it, Nick. It's good to hear from you.
It is.
Take care.
And appreciate the feedback. So here's one from Evil Genius, also on Clash of the Titans. Very much one of my favorites when I was a kid. I loved mythology. It was also in that wheelhouse of late 70s, early 80s fantasy sci-fi movies that really molded my descent into nerddom. Laugh out loud. I saw it in the theater, and I even had a Clash of the Titans t-shirt. I did enjoy the first half too. Everything about it. If I was going to watch drama in a movie, it had to be related to egomaniacal gods and bloodthirsty monsters. Just a few years back, I actually purchased an autographed photo of Ray Harryhausen working on the Medusa model. It is proudly displayed on my wall. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Funny thing about the seventh golden shower of Sinbad. Yes, I remember that now.
Can't believe he got you to say it again.
Wow.
Of course, he means the seventh. Whatever.
Voyage.
Golden Voyage. Yeah. Just today.
But does he, Jeff? Does he?
I don't know.
He is evil,
Yeah,
that's right. That's true.
It's true.
I think Crystal led us down that path. If I remember right. Just today, she's not here to defend herself, so I'm blaming her.
So now it's a perfect time.
Yeah. I was watching Phil Tippett's Mad God on Shudder and spotted Ray Harryhausen's Cyclops model in the background. I was thinking, hey, that is a great blurb that I can add into my comment for Clash of Titans. And here it is. This is a fun movie. And hey, Jeff, meant to get to this earlier, but good job on figuring out Time Bandits as Evil Genius's source. Another great early 80s classic. I hope that you get a chance to revisit it. I will definitely revisit it.
David Warner just passed as we.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's been like 2-week period with a bunch of Larry Storch.
Paul Savini.
Out. Yeah, Paul Savini.
James.
All right.
Yeah, we've lost some good ones.
Yeah.
Thanks, Evil.
Thank you, Evil.
Thanks, buddy. Always appreciate it. That's it for this episode. But every 2 weeks, we'll be focusing on a specific film released between 1980 and 1989. Next up, we tackle one.
It's got to be something good.
Me, The Deadly Spawn.
Oh, boy.
From 1982, which just showed up on Shudder. And it's got a monster.
It's something.
It's bad, but it's good.
It's bad, but it's really good.
Yeah. So anyway, check that one out on Shudder if you want to before the podcast. And we may have a special guest for that one. We'll wait and see how the schedule works out. Plenty of ways to stay in touch. Hey, please send feedback to feedback@gruesomemagazine.com, but also leave comments on the YouTube channel, Gruesome Magazine YouTube channel.
Yeah, you can see how that saved the podcast. I mean, otherwise we would have had nothing to talk about but the Ripper.
Yeah, thank you.
Comments, everybody. Right. It allowed us to catch up on this.
Dodged a bullet there.
Yeah, we've been on a roll. The one before this was the Mutilator, and I forget the one before that.
Let's get away from the bottom of the barrel. Let's maybe go to the middle.
Well, we're doing Deadly Spawn.
I don't know. Anyway.
Deadly Spawn is definitely higher on the food chain than this was.
So yeah, leave comments, please. We love comments. We love to read them. We love ideas. Give us suggestions. favorite movies that we've never done, and then we'll tell you if we've already
Unless
done
it's
it.
Frankenstein Island, then you just keep that to yourself.
Or oh, and share with your friends. Let your friends know about it. If you know some horror fans, like or subscribe to the podcast apps or on the YouTube channel, or all of them. Do all of them. Why not?
We're everywhere.
Yeah.
Hit the buttons
All
on
right.
all that crap.
Yeah. Oh, and we do have a Facebook group, H&R and DOH Podcast Facebook group. Gruesome Magazine's H&R and DOH Podcast Facebook group.
Ooh, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, appreciate it. So catch us again here in 2 weeks with another great horror movie of the 1980s, as only decades of horror can do it. Thank you again, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you.
sure Crystal will be back next time.
Yay. Hope so.
Say goodnight, guys.
Good night.
Night, everybody.
Gruesome Magazine.